Hey y'all, and welcome to my spring 2026 TBR. As with my other recent TBR videos, these are all going to be books that I currently own. This is in an effort to read down my large TBR and keep things a little fresh and fun seasonally. Full transparency, I did already film this video in its entirety once, and while I was watching it back, noticed that there was huge interference on the microphone. The whole thing had to be scrapped. And I am now starting over. So I have a lot of books and a little bit of time, and I think we should jump right into it with nonfiction. I have one and only nonfiction book for the spring TBR, and it is Dinosaurs at the Dinner Party by Edward Dolnick. I've had this since my summer trip last year to Boston. It's been burning a hole on my bookshelf ever since, and I cannot wait to dive into it. This is a nonfiction, but told in an engaging narrative style format, and it's all about the history of this eclectic group of preachers and scientists, fossil hunters who all came together for this prehistoric discovery of what we now know today as dinosaurs. This group, including the controversial Richard Owen, who coined the term dinosaurs, did all of the work to solve the mystery of these prehistoric creatures that they have been finding for years and really upend humanity's understanding of the Earth, the age of the Earth, our place in the world, and what happened before us. I think it's going to be so much fun, so interesting. I am still looking to scratch that nonfiction itch that I wanted with The Book of Eels and didn't get, so I think this is going to do it for me. I cannot wait. Next, let's take a look at Jenn fic, and I have two books. First up being The Messy Lives of Book People by Phaedra Patrick. This has been on my list for absolute ages. Now is the time. Spring feels like the right season to jump into Liv's story. Liv is a working mom of two. She's married, her sons are older, and she has a lot of cleaning jobs to help pay the bills. Liv also harbors a dream of being a writer, so imagine her absolute luck when she lands a job cleaning for the author of a beloved series that Liv has actually been reading herself since she was a teenager. Essie Starling is described as being a mean, reclusive lady, but she and Liv form a tenuous friendship while Liv is working for her. Essie unexpectedly dies, leaving behind a very mysterious, odd list of instructions for Liv, one of which is to finish her current work in progress. Kind of fulfilling one of Liv's dreams, but also plunging her into this odd place of trying to fulfill Essie's wishes and not completely alienate her own family. I think it throws her into a little bit of personal and familial turmoil, but she does uncover some long buried secrets and this connection between herself and Essie in the process. I think it sounds fun, a little mysterious, maybe a little bit of self-discovery, who you are at a certain point in life after you've had your kids and you've been married for a certain amount of time and rediscovering yourself. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be interesting. And The Names by Florence and Knapp. This is a more recent acquisition. It came from Goldsboro Books in Brighton and highly recommended by Phil. This story follows Cora and her family in the aftermath of the birth of her son. Cora is on her way with 9-year-old daughter in tow to register the birth and the baby's name when she starts to have some hesitation about the name she and her husband agreed on. Her husband, Gordon, is well renowned in the community, but at home he seems to be a much different man, even a violent man. Gordon expects Cora to follow his family's long-held tradition of naming their son after him. But as Cora hesitates on her way to the registry office, the entire family's lives are split into 3 different realities. One in which she names the son Gordon. The second, she goes with her daughter's suggestion, which is Bear, I think. And in a third, she completely departs and names the son Julian. This story is told over 35 years in 7-year increments. And we catch up with the family at different phases in their life. I think this is going to be an interesting look at how a name can change a person or not change a person. I cannot wait to read this. Phil absolutely raved about it. I did bring home a copy to my mom as well, so maybe we can squeeze in a buddy read this spring. Moving into the category of children's fiction, and I just have one book for this category, but it's kind of a big one, and it is Anne of Green Gables. I have this beautiful Penguin edition. It is absolutely adorable, beautiful, fun, all of these little icons in the back. I think it's so cute and sweet. This is obviously the story of 11-year-old orphan Anne Shirley and a farm called Green Gables. Anne arrives on Prince Edward Island only to find out that the elderly Cuthbert siblings set to adopt her actually wanted a boy, not a feisty redhead. Before they can send Anne back, they absolutely fall for the spunky girl and I think probably just become a really sweet little family. I've never read Anne of Green Gables in any iteration. I've never seen any of the programs, television shows, movies, whatever. I think there's been a lot for this series, and I have no experience with any of them, so this is going to be a really fresh, fun experience for me. I know that these books hold a really special place in a lot of readers' hearts, and I can't wait to be one of them. My next category will likely come as a surprise to absolutely no one, and that is going to be healing fiction. These all happen to be translated Japanese healing fiction, but I do also really enjoy Korean. First up is a more recent US publication, and that is the Vanishing Cherry Blossom Bookshop. This is so beautiful. First, let's just look at the cover because it is so pretty. Cherry blossoms are famously a fleeting bloom that happens in the spring months. Also, like the little kitty cat. Okay, that was important. In this book, we have a bookshop that only shows up during the fleeting cherry blossom season and also run by a mysterious woman called Sakura, which is the Japanese word for cherry blossom. Together with her cat, Sakura helps her customers confront past regrets and sadness to move on and embrace a new hope. I think this is going to be a great feel-good novel. I can't tell you why, but my next book holds a really special place for me, and that is The Convenience Store by the Sea by Sonoko Machida. I can't exactly pinpoint why this one is so exciting to me, but it's described as a quirky slice of life novel focusing on the day-to-day lives of the convenience store customers and employees in this coastal Japanese seaside town. It is said to explore themes of loneliness, community, and the healing power of good food. It just sounds great. Again, very sweet cover. This is the UK edition, but you can see here we have another cat. I cannot get over the cats, and I just want to go into this convenience store. It's so sweet. And finally, The Passengers on the Hankyu Line by Hiro Arikawa. I think you can probably tell what drew me into this one at first, but this is going to be another slice of life, this time focusing on the commuters on this particular train line in Japan, including this dashing dachshund. In this one, we are exploring the themes of sort of the everyday struggle of just being human, community, and again, human connection. I think this is going to be so good. We also have the cherry blossoms here, so I think again, with that spring vibe, it's going to be the perfect time to read this one. The cozy vibes just continue. I have a couple of cozy fantasies and then one cozy mystery, so let's jump right in with the first one, which is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is in Sanderson's larger Cosmere universe and is described as a Princess Bride style fairy tale. It sounds awesome just based on that, and I have been looking to read this for absolute ages. Here we have Tress, who lives on this island in a sea of deadly spores, and she is forced to go on this huge adventure, leaving her home to rescue her friend Charlie. Like I said, this will be my first Sanderson and hopefully not my last because I do have a couple more on my shelf. My second cozy fantasy is a recent release, and that is Witches of Dubious Origin by Jenn McKinlay. I believe this came out in 2025. I've read other Jenn McKinlay and I really enjoyed it, so throw in a little bit of witchy vibes, a library, and a touch of romance. I was so in. This cozy fantasy centers librarian Zoe, who discovers that she is the last descendant of a family of witches. She is thrown into the world of magic as she tries to decode her family's grimoire, all while working for a library's Books of Dubious Origins collection. There, she has a colleague that maybe she has a little bit of a romance with. It sounds really fun and exciting. I thought in the beginning this might be more of an adventure, but it actually sounds very cozy, and I'm so in. Another book I didn't expect to be described as cozy, but was pleasantly surprised, and this has been on my TBR for so long, is A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer by Maxie Dara. Modern-day Grim Reaper Kathy Valence is more than happy with her predictable and boring job in the Department of Natural Causes at Scythe, which stands for the Secure Collection, Yielding, and Transportation of Human Essences. Gosh, that is a mouthful. Kathy has enough going on in her personal life. She's mid-divorce and pregnant to really care about climbing the corporate ladder at work. However, one day she is off to collect a new client, but cannot locate his soul. Once she finally does, he angrily declares that he's been murdered, and this thrusts Kathy into an investigation she is not interested in. But Kathy doesn't have much of a choice. It's this or risk his soul roaming the earth for eternity. This is the first in a series. Book 2, I believe, is already out, and book 3 is coming. So if this sounds interesting to you, that is a world you can jump right into. My final category is going to be romances, and it is my largest category as well, shock horror. First, and keeping on with that little bit of a witchy vibe, is An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating by Celia Edward. This sounds very cute. Thorne Scarhart is a witch struggling to find love in the 17th century. She's tried everything from matchmakers to very powerful love potions. One day, her potion brew goes awry and backfires and thrusts her 350 years into the future. There, her cozy, isolated cottage is actually a historical monument in the middle of a thriving city. I love a fish out of water story, and then add in some witchiness, add in the romance. I think this is going to be so fun and probably really sweet. There's also a cat, and who doesn't love a little cat? I'm seeing a lot of similar themes here. So the Library of Borrowed Hearts by Lucy Gilmore actually centers a struggling librarian, again, kind of like Zoe from Witches of Dubious origin, but less magic in this one, maybe like no magic in this one. So Lucy's struggling. She is taking care of her younger siblings. She is just trying to make ends meet. And she thinks her luck has turned around when one day at a thrift sale, she finds a special edition of this old book from the 1960s. She gets home and her curmudgeonly old neighbor Jasper offers her an astounding amount of money for the book, which compels Chloe to take a closer look at the book she's picked up, where she finds these love notes in the margins between obviously Jasper and someone else. Then Chloe finds out that this is not the only book like this around town. So she sets off on this scavenger hunt to find the books and discover what happened in this tragic love story. I think this sounds really fun. I'm kind of hoping that maybe Chloe will get her own love story out of this, but I like the then and now aspect of books like this, and love letters in the margins of a book. Like, how cute. Story of My Life by Lucy Score is one of those books that just looks like spring to me. We have the sweet little bicycle with flowers in it, these gorgeous sprayed edges in these lovely blue tones, and it just feels like a fresh spring day. But what we have here is what I find to be typical Lucy Score, some kind of home reno montage situation. Struggling romance novelist Hazel is having a bit of writer's block, and her publisher has basically said, write or this is it. The ultimatum sets Hazel into a bit of a tizzy and leads to her impulsively buying a house in rural Pennsylvania. Upon her dramatic arrival to town, she realizes that this charming home she bought may have been a bit exaggerated and also comes with a seat in the town politics. So she's thrust into town life fully without a moment to adjust. Now, she does have this crumbling home, which I believe she calls a spider museum at one point, and enter our hot contractors, a man and his brothers who run this company, give Hazel the inspiration she needs for her next romance book. She, I think, fake dates the main grouchy contractor, and then maybe the next books feature the brothers. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because this is not the only book in the series. I think this will be a really good time. I've had good luck with the Lucy that I have read, so if this one's good, I will definitely be picking up the rest of the series. A very recent release, and one of my most anticipated releases of the year actually, is Just for the Cameras by Meghan Quinn. And Meghan Quinn sure does write an actual doorstop in these books. They are massive, but I love the pictures in them. If you've not read a Meghan Quinn book, there are these lovely little illustrations in them. I don't know why, I just think that's so fun. I always say that adult books should have pictures too. I don't know why only the kids get them. So I love her books. This story is about a little bit of a reclusive or not for the limelight football star called Graydon St. John. The names in these, crazy. Graydon, like I said, he's not about that celebrity life. He does not want to be center stage, but it's the NFL, and there's kind of a PR nightmare that thrusts the whole league into some public outreach. Flamingo keeper Maple Baker is just about her flamingos. Okay, she has a love for her birds. They're messy, they're loud, but they're hers, and she does not need some grouchy football player coming in and stomping around her birds. Unfortunately, these two are paired up for the public outreach between the zoo and the league, and they have to play nice for the cameras. So I think there's going to be some faking niceties, a lot of banter, a lot of animosity, and tons of tension, which I absolutely love. Last but certainly not least is Taurus Season by Brynne Weaver. Yes, I pre-ordered this last year. Yes, I got it as soon as it came out, and I still have not read it. I heard this has a bit of a cliffhanger, and that she was actually bragging about how rough the cliffhanger was, and I was scared. I didn't want to read it until a lot closer to book 2, which is coming out June 9th. So I feel like it's finally safe for me to go ahead and read Taurus Season. This is book 1 in the Cape Carnage series. I expect it to be very similar to her other dark rom-coms from her previous series. Harper is an award-winning gardener with an unconventional compost routine. See, she lives in a tourist town, and tourists that make waves, not in a good way, don't go home. they get buried. The tables turn though when Nolan enters town and the hunter starts becoming the hunted. However, Harper's not quite the monster that Nolan thought she was. And when an outside force enters the scene, Hazel and Nolan enter a tense truce until the threat can be neutralized. I think this is going to be so fun. And like I said, I have to wait for book 2, a lot closer to book 2, because I am not great with the cliffhanger, but I love Brynn Weaver and I think this is going to be so much fun and probably like a little bit gross. So that's it. That's everything on my current spring TBR. I believe that was 15 books and I know I can finish them. I was so successful with my winter TBR. I finished all of those books, so I'm riding that high and I just know I can do it again. That would be 15 whole books off the physical TBR. I'm still, as of today, in my book buying pause. I'll be making a video about that soon as well. The process, the reflection afterwards, and what comes after. So stay tuned for that if you want to see it. But that's it. That's everything. Did I miss something? Is there something you guys are especially looking forward to? I didn't include any of the new releases I have coming, so that may have been a mistake, but these felt right now, and I'm so thrilled to have them all in the lineup. Thank you so much for watching today. Happy spring, happy reading, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.